Hi guys, today I'd like you to meet this adorable Puggle puppy. He's a new addition to add to your Webkinz collection. He will be available for purchase this September. My son has laid claim to this cute little guy and named him Fudge. And in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make Fudge the Puggle puppy. You'll need a total of 129 bands to make him. You can just make the face charm and you'll need 55 bands, 12 blacks, 16 browns, and 27 tan. If you want to add the body, you'll need 74 more bands. So let's get started. Let's start with the legs. I've already made 3 and I'm going to make one with you, so you'll have to pause the video to make 3 more. So taking a single band, we're looping it 4 times on a hook. Taking another single band, looping it 4 times on my hook. Taking 2 more single bands and we'll pull all those loops onto the 2 single bands and getting the other side onto a hook. And we want to evenly spread out our loops onto the 2 single bands. So a paw is even on our foot, taking 2 more single bands and pulling all those loops onto the 2 single bands and getting them all on a single band like that. So go ahead and pause the video to make 3 more and come back when you're done. Let's make the eyes. I'm taking a single brown band and looping it 4 times on the hook. Taking a single black, looping it twice on one side and twice on the other. Let's make the other eye, same thing. You can use whatever color you want. I'm looping it 4 times on the hook. Taking my second color, looping it twice on one side and twice on the other. And we're going to pull everything onto a single band that matches the face, and mine will be tan. So pulling carefully all the eyes, the bands, try to keep it in the same order onto that single band. Repeat for the other eye. And this eye is a lot harder to make than just using a single band for each eye. So if you can't make this one, go ahead and use a single band and make the eye just one color. Let's just leave it on our hook for the time being. Let's make the ears, and I already made one, so I'm going to make the other with you. You'll have to pause the video to make the second one. With our loom, we're going to take a single band coming from the first to the second peg and the second to the third in the center. We're going to come diagonally from the second center to the side second peg and from the center third to the side third peg. And our last single band, we're going to close it up. So that's what your ear should look like so far. Now we're taking a single band, twist, double, and we're going to place it as a holding band like that. And we're going to take our last single band and we're going to cap by looping it 4 times. And let's loop up. We're going to go under the cap band, grab the top single band and loop up and onto itself. Mine went up straight. The next one, go under, grab the bottom single and loop up, and it should go to the center. I'm going on the side, grabbing the bottom single, looping it up, and it went to the second center peg. Go in the center, third peg, grab the bottom single, and looping it to the second center peg. And now let's finish looping the last center peg to the first. So your ear is done. Take it off the loom. So go ahead and pause the video and come back when you're done with your second ear. Put it aside. For the face, we're taking 2 single bands coming from the first to the second center peg and coming diagonally on both sides with 2 single bands. And if you just want to make the face charm, you can just do this part with me and not add the body. So taking 2 more single bands, we're coming down the sides twice for both sides. And we'll close it up, coming from the third peg to the center fourth for both sides. So that's what your face should look like at this point. And let's close up the rest of our face with 2 single bands all the way down to the center. And make sure the center fourth peg is not overlapped or anything, because we need to loop up all those bands later. Now let's add our eyes, and we're going to put it from the second peg to the second peg. So get our eye off our hook and attaching it across from the second peg to the second peg, and split them out and kind of position the eye to how you want it to look. It'll be a lot easier when it comes off. Now let's cap the center fourth peg off with a single band, looping it 4 times. Just taking your single, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's loop up. We're going to go under the cap band, grabbing the top 2 single, and it should go up to the center. Hold down your cap band and loop it up and onto itself, creating the nice teardrop. Go back under the cap band, grab the next top 2 single, and mine's going to the right, and the last 2 bands, and it should go to the left. Push all these bands down. We're going to add our mouth area, and we're going to be working in layers. So that's what it should look like so far. Now taking a single tan twist, double it, and we're going to connect it from the third center to the fourth center peg, like that. Taking another tan twist, double, single band, and looping it on the side from the third to the fourth. Repeat on the other side, single, twist, double for both sides. And now let's make the nose. We're taking a single black band, we're looping it 4 times on our hook, like that. Taking a single black band, twist, double, and we'll get all those loops onto the single we doubled. And let's attach it from the 4th to the 5th peg in the center for our nose, and you can make your nose whatever color you want. Push it all down, and be careful that it doesn't overlap the bottom bands, because we're going to have to loop it up later. Now take 3 single black bands, and we're going to loop it from the 4th center peg to the side 4th peg. Repeat for both sides with 3 single bands. We're making the mouth a little thicker from the center 4th to the side 4th peg. So that's what it should look like, and everything should be pushed all the way down and not overlapped. Now taking a single black band, we're going to cap the side 4th peg off by looping it 3 times. So that's 1, 2, 3. Repeat on the other side, single black band, capping it by looping it 1, 2, 3 times. Now we're going to go on the side 4th peg. We're going to reach under the cap band, grab the 3 single top bands, the black ones, and loop it up. Hold the cap band and onto the center fourth peg. So lots of bands now, be careful it doesn't come off. Let's repeat on the left side. We're going to go under the cap band, grab the top 3 black single bands, hold the cap band down and loop up and onto the fourth center peg. So that's what yours should look like. And now let's loop up the 5th center peg, and we're going to have to hold it down because it's going to want to come off. So push the center where the nose is down, hold it down, and loop up the 2 bands off of the 5th center peg and loop it onto the 4th center peg. And it's very tight, lots of bands, be careful it does not come off. So that's what it should look like. So reach in the 4th center peg very carefully. We're going to find the top 2 single tan bands that we put on for the mouth. Grab them and carefully loop it up. I grabbed one, I'm going back in to grab the second one. And you should see a nice teardrop. Once you grab the right bands, it should be again the top 2 that we just added for the mouth area. If there's any tension, go ahead and take the back of your hook and follow around the 4th center peg, so that way it creates a nice teardrop for that set of bands. Now go in the 4th side peg, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and loop up and onto itself. Repeat for the other side, reaching under, grab the bottom 2 bands and loop up and onto itself. So that's what your dog's face should look like at this point. Now for the ears, if you want it to hang a little lower, like this gray one, then we're going to put it on the 2nd side peg. And if you want your ear to hang a little higher, like this brown one, then you want to put the ear bands onto these 2 loops here. Pull it off and getting it onto these 2 loops and putting it back on. But I'm going to put my ear a little lower, so I'm going to attach it to the 2nd side peg and repeat for the other side, taking our ear and attaching it to the 2nd side peg. So it's up to you how low you want your ears to hang. Now we're going to loop up the sides first. Go on the side 3rd peg, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and loop up and onto itself. Continue up the side of our face all the way to the center 1st peg. Repeat for the other side. Go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and loop up and onto itself. And repeat up the side to the 1st center peg. So that's what yours should look like. You should have nice teardrops up and down your face. And grab the center bands, center 3rd, and there's a little bit of tension. Just don't force your bands, don't break it. Move it up to the 2nd center peg, release any tension. And finally our last 2 bands, move it up and onto the 1st center peg. Taking your single slipknot band, putting your hook through and tying it off. And let's take our dog's face off the loom. There he is. And make sure you pull all your bands so they're even. You don't have any loose bands or bands sticking out. So your creation looks good. Fix your eyes to the way you want it to look, and we want more black around the outside of our eye. Fix our ears. So it kind of droops. And pull up your nose so it's more towards the top of his little mouth face area. So there's our little pug's face so far. And we're going to tuck in the charm string, but if you want it just to be a dog face charm, then you're done. So let's tuck in our charm string in the back of his face. So here's our pug's face so far, and now let's go to the back of his head, and we're going to grab 8 loops onto our hook. So there's 2, just go slide through the back, 4, 6, 8. So there's our 8 loops on the hook. Now take 2 single bands and pulling all those loops onto the 2 single bands and getting it evenly onto a hook. So there's our pug's head attached onto a hook with the 2 single bands. With our loom, let's start the body. We're going to put a pug's head facing down, and we're going to pull the 2 loops off of our hook and attaching it to the center 3rd peg, and we'll pull the other side onto the 1st center peg, like that. Make sure our pug's head is facing down, and we'll pull it between the 1st center peg and the 1st right peg. Push these bands down. Now taking 2 single bands, we're going to loop it from the side left peg, twist in the center, and looping it across to the right 2nd peg. Repeat with 2 more bands. This is row number 1. Taking your 2 single bands, looping it from the right 1st peg, twist in the center, and looping it to the 2nd left peg. And now you've covered 6 pegs. Now with a single band, we're going to cover the 6 pegs. Just go around your loom with 6 single bands, covering the 6 pegs. And then we're looping the bottom 2 bands up and over to the center for all 6 pegs. Make sure you leave 2 loops left per peg. Push it down. So let's expand. If you're working on the monster tail, these 2 loops should be here, and you want to pull the loop that's attached to the 2nd side peg to move to the center peg at the bottom, and leave the other loop on this 3rd side peg. So on our loom, we're going to pull a single band off the center 3rd peg, and it's attached to this side 2nd peg, so I'm going to move it to the 3rd peg right there on the right side, and moving the other one that's attached to this side 2nd peg and moving it to the center. So that's what you should have so far. And now for both the monster tail and the loom, we're going to pull these 2 loops off of the side 2nd peg and moving it to the 3rd 2nd left peg. So that's what it should look like. And now we're going to move a single band off of the 1st side peg on the left that's attached to the center 1st peg, and we're moving it to the 2nd side peg. So that's what we have, and it should cover the 8 pegs. The 1st and the 2nd left peg each has a single band. This has 2 on the 3rd, and the center and the right third peg each has a single loop. So that was row number 2. Row number 3, we're going to add our first set of legs. We're going to attach the first one on the left first to second peg, and the second legs on the left third to the center bottommost peg. So that's what it should look like so far, and then covering the rest of our loom with a single band. Just go around your loom with a single band. And you should cover 8 pegs total. We're going to loop the bottom bands up and over because we expanded. This has 1, and there should always be 2 loops left per peg after we loop this up. Just go around your loom, looping the bottom bands up and over, leaving 2 loops per peg. Push everything down. That was row number 3. Rows 4 and 5, we're taking a single band, 8 of them, covering the 8 pegs and looping the bottom 2 bands up and over, leaving 2 loops left per peg. I'm going to fast forward through rows 4 and 5 because it's repetitive. Row number 5, push everything down. Row number 6, our last row, we're taking our second set of legs and attaching it on the same pegs. So from the first and the second left peg and the third to center peg in the bottom. Now taking 6 more single bands covering the rest of our 8 pegs and looping the bottom 2 bands up and over. Push down a little, and now let's make the tail. We're taking a single band, looping it 4 times on a hook, taking a single, twist, double, and pulling those loops onto a hook. And you can make your tail as long as you want. I'm going to do it 5 times, so that's 1, this is 2, single, double, and pulling the loops onto my hook. 3, 4, 5. Again, you can make it shorter or longer depending on what you want. Now I'm going to take these 2 loops off of the right first peg and pulling my tail onto those loops and reattaching it. Now we're ready to take it off the loom. I'm just going to grab the 2 loops onto my hook off of the 8 pegs, going clockwise, making sure our legs are on the outside. And if you have the monster tail, go ahead and stuff him first before you start taking him off of your loom. And also make sure your tail is sticking out. There's my little pug so far. I'm going to take some old bands, and you can use cotton balls or whatever you want. I want him a little squishier, so just stuff the bands in this body. Don't overstuff them. It's better to use the same color band so it doesn't stick out, but you can always push it in. Now taking a single band, and we're going to tie him off, getting all the loops onto our single band, and then tying a slip knot. Get him onto our hook and tying the slip knot. And tuck in the slip knot band. I'm going to tuck in my bands. Fix his little legs and his face to the way you want him to look. Squish his body. If you want his tail to point up, just pull the back of the bands so the tail will curve up for you. Once again, fix the body and pull the legs so he'll stand up for you. So this is Fudge, the Puggle puppy. I hope you like him. Thanks for watching.